Hey there! Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
We don't know for certain whether the baby remains missing or whether the baby was killed.
You know what I was capable of. You know what I'm capable of. They just pushed me anyway.
She was not credible, and yet she was the only person that could give information that would help.
If she really did get rid of the body, it would have been in that 45 minutes.
You're listening to True Crime Arizona, the podcast.
This is a case centered around phone calls.
I said this has gotten so much out of control.
Dozens of them.
It was a hurried, pressured decision.
Confessions, admissions, secrets, and lies.
You know that the baby's okay. I mean, you know he's okay.
And one call that would shape the investigation forever.
Where are you? Where's Gabriel?
I killed him this morning.
What?
I killed him this morning.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Where are you?
I'm going to tell you right now.
Where are
You know
you?
what I was capable of. You know what I'm capable of.
Where
They
are
just
you?
pushed me anyway.
You know, they knew each other when they were maybe even middle school age.
Logan McQueary was in his young 20s. Back in 2009, he was in love with his girlfriend, Elizabeth Johnson.
And then as they got older and re-met when they were older, probably maybe high schoolish age, started dating. My guess would be probably later teens.
Sandy Peters is Logan's aunt. Logan's mom died unexpectedly, so she stepped in as a significant part of Logan's life. At the time, Logan and Elizabeth were living together in a trailer in Tempe, Arizona.
What was your impression of Elizabeth?
I liked her. She had a lot of energy. She was peppy. She had a good sense of humor. She was with Logan a lot. They would hang out and do things together. I thought they were good together. I liked her.
She and Logan were not just in love, but also new parents to a baby boy. That made Sandy a great aunt, but she served more as a grandma to baby Gabriel Johnson.
Were they trying to have a baby together?
No. Logan actually, I always felt like he gravitated to kids. He worked at Chuck E. Cheese. He was awesome. He was always good with his younger cousins, and he was born to be a dad. He was just so good with kids. But Elizabeth never wanted kids. There was discussion of abortion and if they should go that route, if they should do adoption. Logan never faltered with the opinion that he wanted to raise the baby, no matter what. That was going to be his role in life, and to this day, he is probably the best daddy I've ever seen.
Financially, Logan and Elizabeth weren't prepared for the cost and care of a baby, but Logan's family didn't think twice. They'd be there to help.
And so we were excited for them, apprehensive, because neither one of them had a career. We weren't quite sure how they were going to afford all of it, but you figure that out along the way. And he knew he had family help. He had aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas and ready to welcome Gabriel with open arms.
That's exactly what they did. The blue-eyed boy stole all of their hearts. He was perfect. Sandy remembers in October of 2009 when they drove down from Prescott, Arizona, and first got to meet Gabriel.
He was about 6 months old at the time when I actually finally got to meet him. And just the happiest, most delightful little baby you ever saw. He was just amazing. And we went out to eat with my mom and Logan and Elizabeth and Gabriel and my husband. And Gabriel was sitting on my lap during the dinner, and anytime he heard his dad, he would just twist in half to try to find out where his dad was. And just, you could tell there was quite a connection.
But Sandy did notice something.
Like I said, Gabriel definitely had a connection to Logan, but there wasn't one with Elizabeth.
2 months later, things began to unravel. Logan would call Sandy with names she had never heard before.
Somebody named Tammy Smith is trying to adopt Gabriel.
What? Who was Tammy Smith? Turns out Elizabeth had met Tammy Smith in the Indianapolis airport on her way back to Arizona earlier that year when she had Gabriel with her. The two struck up a friendship, and it was at that point Tammy Smith and her husband Jack started to try to adopt Gabriel from Elizabeth. Logan's family knew none of this until just before Christmas of 2009, and what should have been a Merry Christmas with the whole family together was the start of their nightmare.
We were here for Christmas, and Christmas Eve he was supposed to have custody. At that point, the judge had said they were going to start dividing up time with Gabriel, and Logan was supposed to get Gabriel for Christmas Eve. So we were going to have our Christmas Eve together, and we all had packages for Gabriel. We were all going to get together. Then I got a phone call from Logan saying Elizabeth asked if we could have him on Christmas Day instead of Christmas Eve. And so he said, okay, we can do that if you want to. And then Christmas Day, the phone call came. I'm not going to get him today. How about, let me try to figure out what's going on and we'll see when we can get together. Then on, I think it was the 27th, Logan actually went over to the trailer, looked in the windows. Gabriel's room, all of his stuff was gone. It was replaced with a twin bed and a little chest of drawers that was sitting in the room. And he looked in the garage, and the baby crib, changing table, all of that stuff was just stuffed in the garage. And he couldn't find Elizabeth anywhere.
Or Gabriel.
Right, or Gabriel.
Immediately, they start trying to call Elizabeth.
She answered the phone, and she explained that she wasn't coming back. She had Gabriel, he was fine, and she wasn't coming back.
She wasn't in Arizona anymore. She was in San Antonio, Texas. They had no idea why. The next calls and texts from Elizabeth changed the scope of the investigation, at least at first. Sandy remembers that critical moment with Logan.
And he came running up with his phone, and he said, you've got to listen to this. It was a phone conversation he had just gotten off of with Elizabeth, and she said she killed Gabriel.
What was your reaction to that?
I believed her. I absolutely believed that recording. When I heard it, I had no doubt in my mind that she had killed him.
Where are you? Where's Gabriel?
I killed him this morning.
What?
Killed him this morning.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Where are you?
I'm going to tell you right now.
I was a journalist for 25 years. This is the only case that still sticks with me. Still gets me emotional, gets me angry.
Pat McReynolds had just started as a reporter for CBS 5 in Phoenix a few weeks before Gabriel went missing.
My first story regarding baby Gabriel was the first press conference at the Tempe Police Department, which was the day of the disappearance, or the day that they knew that Elizabeth Johnson had taken him out of state.
Are you thinking this is going to be something really weird?
No, I didn't. By the time I started covering the baby Gabriel disappearance, I had been in the business for 20 years. So I had covered many disappearances and many child disappearances. At that point, we were hoping that this was a domestic dispute that would be solved fairly quickly. We didn't know. I met Logan McQueary and I met the family, and I struck up a relationship with them fairly early that they trusted me.
Logan's family started learning more about attempts Elizabeth had made at adopting Gabriel out. They learned how involved Tammy and Jack Smith had been in trying to get that done. Tammy even forged a different name on custody papers, trying to prove a different man was baby Gabriel's dad, not Logan.
Tammy had a network that was partially family, somewhat religious, church together group that did these adoptions.
The news station decides to send Pat to San Antonio with Logan's family to try and find baby Gabriel, and also try and find Elizabeth. They didn't find either one of them, but police found Elizabeth in Miami, Florida.
When investigators tracked her down in Florida, she did not have Gabriel with her. And I feel like that was like stepping onto a roller coaster that didn't end for 5 years. She wouldn't tell the police where he was. But we started to get audio recordings of her conversations with Logan, where she actually told Logan that she killed the baby and put him in a bag and then in a dumpster. But then she changed her story later and said that she gave Gabriel away to an anonymous couple in a park in Texas.
This is where it all gets very tricky with what truly happened that day in San Antonio. Elizabeth starts to tell investigators she went to San Antonio specifically to meet a couple she would give baby Gabriel to. She says it was all coordinated by Jack and Tammy Smith.
The two stories were, Elizabeth says she went to San Antonio just like Jack and Tammy had asked her to do. They made plans. She was supposed to meet a couple at a park, give them Gabriel, and then she could get him back when she wanted him. She says she did exactly that. Jack and Tammy came out and said, we agree with it up until the part of meeting in the park, or she never showed up at the park, and she never gave us Gabriel. And we couldn't prove which one was telling the truth.
It was clear something fishy was going on. Elizabeth and baby Gabriel had been staying at the Homegate Hotel in town. Pat uncovered new leads.
We found out that that was a hotel that was well known for underground adoptions. So we started tracking down all of the leads of people that are involved with underground adoptions, and we kept getting pushback from the San Antonio Police Department. At first, it seemed like they were just doing that because they wanted to protect their investigation. But I think in all of my years in the business, that police department stonewalled the media and the family probably more than I've ever witnessed.
That's when the family ends up working with a Texas attorney, Tim Maloney.
Everything about it is still bizarre today. It's a hell of a story. I got a call from a friend of mine who runs an adoption agency in San Antonio, and she's very, very much involved in black market adoption. And she had heard about what was going on with baby Gabriel.
Remember, Elizabeth had first told Logan she killed Gabriel and put him in a dumpster. That's what police assumed to be the truth.
They could account for everything but about 45 minutes of her time. And so, in my thought, if she really did get rid of the body, it would have been in that 45 minutes, that she would have driven somewhere away from the hotel and gotten rid of the body at that point.
Sandy says Elizabeth certainly had a volatile track record.
I know that she does have a really, really bad temper at times, and it can flip really fast. There was a time when she got upset with Logan, and she cut the tongues out of his shoes, and she took kitchen knives and cut up the furniture in the house, and she banged a pan against the TV and broke it, and broke windows in the apartment. And so she definitely had a temper going for her. I never witnessed it, and I want with all my heart to believe that she couldn't do anything to a baby.
But attorney Tim Maloney says Elizabeth's first admission of murder became the focus of Texas authorities' efforts. The problem was, lies were flying left and right. Elizabeth couldn't be trusted.
When the police have a confession, and when they have the facts that they believe substantiate the allegation, the railroad track of evidence doesn't get off that track. They will build a case predicated upon that and find facts to fit that theory because it's so simple. A young woman tragically killed her baby and confessed to it. Well, why would we ever want to try to dissuade that story from coming forward? The FBI actually had the tape of that dumpster, and it did not indicate that she was anywhere near that dumpster at any time.
But later, Elizabeth changed her story to authorities, claiming she was to meet a couple at a park with the initials RR at 10 a.m. to give them Gabriel.
There are two parks in San Antonio with the initials RR. There is Raymond Russell and Raymond Memphis. She was staying at a hotel that was about 11 minutes away from a park called RR. Well, for reasons to this day I still don't understand, the San Antonio Police Department decided RR stood for this park called Raymond Russell, which was across the highway and away from the hotel. Well, I'm born and raised there and know the area well. And when we got the notes, her diagram, it said RR, and I knew exactly what street it was. And I said, no, they're looking in the wrong park. And we go to that park where she did supposedly have this meeting, and her notes were spot on, down to the number of parking spots, the swing set, the bench, the trees, everything was on that diagram. So clearly she was prearranged to meet somebody. And when we tried to explain that to the police, that they're looking in the wrong park, they were particularly upset that we would show them up. And my relationship with them deteriorated pretty quickly after that.
Were there no surveillance cameras, no surveillance footage in and around that park?
No, I mean, that's when there was still such a thing known as privacy.
Yeah, because this is what, 2009?
Right, yes, CCTV cameras just weren't around. It was kind of a miracle that there was even a camera with a dumpster, and that was really just for looting.
There is other possible proof some sort of exchange happened, one of the most curious parts of this case.
What other evidence do you have that you believe is strong enough
Phone records. The phone records to me are the absolute key to this case. And the phone records are the flurry of activity on December 27th around 10 a.m. when she was supposed to meet. A minute before, a minute after, I think I counted 27 phone calls. Jack's brother and son had a connection with San Antonio and Texas at that time. And if you look at the cell records and you look at the telephone records, they are very detailed that on that day, these weren't just Christmas calls on the 27th of December of, gee, happy birthday, happy Christmas, how are you? There were probably 20, 30, 40 phone calls that transpired within an hour before and an hour after this handoff was supposed to happen.
At the same time, Sandy was getting new information about Elizabeth too, and oddities surrounding Tammy and Jack.
She had been guided by Jack and Tammy. If you go to San Antonio, Texas has a law that is a family abandonment kind of thing. And if they could file abandonment papers against Logan, they could mail them out. Logan would then have, 6 months, 6 weeks, something to respond to the paperwork. If he didn't respond in the amount of time that he was supposed to, he would lose parental rights. And then Elizabeth could let Jack and Tammy adopt Gabriel without Logan ever being involved in it. And we were told that they had plans of sending that paperwork to an old address so Logan wouldn't get it.
Authorities also found out more about the Smiths trying to secretly help Elizabeth get away.
The Smiths were providing a plan or places for her to go, potentially in Tennessee.
Tammy and Jack Smith would be anything but quiet. They were going on local newscasts and national shows talking about the case.
Do you know where Gabriel is?
Absolutely not.
They have nothing on me and they will never have anything on me. I think that everybody needs to be looking because according to Elizabeth, these people are going to try to hide this baby. According to her, they are trying to hide this baby because they believe that in a few years, nobody will notice who this baby is.
A bizarre Facebook post by Tammy started being shared. It said in part, "Please keep praying for Gabriel and his mommy's safety on the road. She found underground help in Texas that's given her formulas, bottles, and legal formalities." Legal formalities? What did that mean? It seemed like Tammy knew something about what Elizabeth was doing. Reporters asked Jack Smith about it.
What she was saying was the place will give her food, shelter, all this, and legal stuff.
Like what?
Well, I mean, these shelters help women, whatever legal thing she's got to do. I mean, again, I don't have any idea. That's just what she said.
The Smiths were adamant they were not involved and did not know about any sort of black market adoption in San Antonio, even though there were many calls back and forth with them and Elizabeth. Elizabeth was arrested, charged with kidnapping, child abuse, and custodial interference, and yet still she would not say where Gabriel was.
Tell the court, please, who you gave custody of your child to.
I work very much means I would.
She claimed she didn't know the identities of the couple she gave Gabriel to.
Was Elizabeth Johnson capable of killing her son? Yes. Was she capable of doing it and compartmentalizing it to where she could lie to a judge and lie to a jury? Yes. Yes. Was she spiteful enough? Yes. if she really did kill Gabriel, she was never going to come clean with any information. And then if she did give him to a couple in a park, as she later admitted, she didn't want Logan to be able to find him. So it was maddening to watch her in court and to hear that she was not cooperating at all in trying to find this child.
She would ultimately only be convicted of unlawful imprisonment, custodial interference, and conspiracy to commit custodial interference, and serve 5 years in prison. That's when calls start again between Elizabeth and Tammy, and this time, they're all recorded.
Do you know that the baby's okay? I mean, do you know he's okay?
Yes, definitely I do.
Okay. Because I just don't know what to do or know what to say.
In Sandy's years of efforts to collect evidence and information on this case, she has had many phone calls, jailhouse interviews, and other case audio given to her by investigators or detectives, or released to her through requests. She gave me a flash drive of everything she has, hours and hours of audio, and hundreds of pages of documents. This is one of the recorded calls she has. Elizabeth tells Tammy the call is recorded, and the conversation continues.
Yeah, my lawyers are a little concerned because they were telling me that you were saying some negative things about me on the Today Show, and I was kind of surprised to hear that, and I didn't really believe it. I didn't see the show myself, so...
What I'm saying is everything is the truth. Whatever I'm saying is the truth, whether it be about you or about Logan and everything that I know. And I think what I said on there was that I'm very upset that you're not talking. They're saying that you are not talking.
Yes, but what they say isn't true. That's not true. I cooperated with the FBI. I didn't want to speak to the police. I didn't even see the Tempe police. I was in Florida. I didn't want to speak to the Miami police. My case had nothing to do with them. I asked for a lawyer.
Tammy asks Elizabeth about her original message to Logan.
But did you text him that you put the baby in a bag and suffocated him and put him in a dumpster?
Yes, I did text that.
You what?
Yes, I did text that, but it's not true.
But you didn't do that?
No, I did not do that. It was a hurried, pressured decision.
It was what?
A pressured decision, but honestly, my decision to call you was also stressed and pressured.
So do you want them to find the baby so you can get out of here?
Yes, I don't want to be in jail for 30 years.
Wait, what did you say?
I said, yes, I don't want to be in jail for 30 years, even though I still fear that even if they find the baby, I will still be charged with kidnapping regardless.
Tammy tries asking Elizabeth about the couple she gave Gabriel to.
So what color hair does the father have?
Dark brown, and the woman is blonde.
Okay. Did they know Logan wasn't going to sign?
Yes, I told them all that.
And they were okay with that?
Yeah. They said in a few years, no one, is going to know what the baby looks like.
If I could say one last thing, it would be, just try to pray a lot, really find God, and ask God to give you peace in your heart, and ask God to help you remember certain things about those people that you might be able to, because, when you did paperwork, it should have had their name on it, right?
I don't remember if it had their name or not.
And you still don't remember the husband's name? No?
No.
And they didn't show you any kind of ID that you knew that they were in San Antonio?
I would never think to ask for that.
Nobody knew if anything Elizabeth was saying was the truth. It was extremely frustrating for Pat to watch it all play out.
Here's the conundrum. She was not credible, and yet she was the only person that could give information that would help.
It's a terrible position to be in.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that?
Tammy and Elizabeth's bizarre relationship eventually started to take a turn.
So in these phone calls, very early on, you can just hear them going back and forth at each other, trying to get any type of culpability off of themselves. And so it was very hard to determine what the truth was.
He's referring to this next phone call between them both while Elizabeth was still in jail. Elizabeth initiated this call.
Hey, I am very, very upset at you. What you've been doing and saying I deceived you on the news and all that. And I really can't hide all of this anymore, your involvement in this and all the plans you made, and you're completely denying everything and saying you weren't involved.
Wait, what plans did I make? What are you talking about?
The plans, and you offered to hide me in Tennessee. You set up everything.
No, that was said. We told the police all that. They know that.
And we researched to see if you could change jurisdictions, and we found out that you couldn't. So then we told you need to come back because you can't change jurisdictions. They have all the proof in our computers. They can't, and we told them that from the beginning. And people have asked, do you feel deceived by her? And we've said, you know what? At times we do, but we don't know what to believe anymore because we don't know what to believe, And we've told people, though, over and over that we believe that baby's alive, and we believe that you did what you said, found the family and gave them the baby.
Yeah, you set it all up. They were your friends.
No, they weren't.
Yes.
Then who are they? Then what's their names if they're my friends?
I don't know. You set it all up in San Antonio.
Okay. Why would you be lying about that now, saying that we set that up?
You set all this up, and all I did was do what you told me to do.
And that's a lie, and we have solid proof, and the police already know that. We have solid proof that we did not do any of that. And just so you know, we will be suing you. We will be suing you.
For what?
So no.
For what? What did I do to you?
Destroying our lives. For destroying our lives with your lies and by keeping your mouth shut.
Lies.
Well,
you ruined my life from the very beginning. I trusted you and believed you, and you're totally not the person that you said you were.
This call is stupid and useless, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I don't know why you can't just say where the baby is.
Because I don't know who Gabriel is.
Why would you give the baby to somebody and not even remember their names?
Because
you remember mine, Jack's, and Hannah's.
The names weren't discussed. The names weren't the plan.
So when you called these people, you said on the third day you gave them the baby. So when you called them, what did you just say? Did you call them and say,
I never called them. You called them. It was all set up through you. I did everything you told me to do.
Well, you are a liar. A liar.
No, you are.
What on earth was anyone supposed to believe? It was clear Elizabeth wasn't going to give any more information. Tammy was eventually arrested too, but only served 30 days in jail for forgery and conspiracy to commit custodial interference. Remember, she had tried to put a different man's name on the custody papers. She talked to reporters on her way into jail with handcuffs on.
We all knew that this would happen. I am innocent. God is with me.
But it wasn't just Elizabeth and Tammy who many didn't trust. It was also the San Antonio Police Department. Attorney Tim Maloney even brought in a world-renowned missing child expert from Australia to help with the search for Gabriel, and heard from the San Antonio Police Department right away.
They literally kicked my investigator out of, it was like the Old West. They ran him out of town. And they said, you don't have a license here, get the hell out or we're going to arrest you.
Sandy says not only is she skeptical of what San Antonio investigators truly looked into, she also says she was verbally threatened by the department too.
They were so convinced that she had killed him from the beginning that I'm not even convinced San Antonio followed up on leads that they were given. I don't know how much they did. We went to San Antonio. We traveled there from out of state trying to get answers from them. We would try to call, and anytime we'd call, they'd say no updates and wouldn't tell us anything else, to the point where it just got frustrating to even try to continue having any kind of relationship with them at all. But they were just so convinced that he wasn't alive that they never, in my opinion, I never saw any evidence that they actually tried to find a live Gabriel. We were told, you can't be doing interviews, you can't be talking to people about this because you'll be interfering with our investigation and we will come after you. I especially felt extremely threatened and afraid to talk to anybody or give out any kind of information or ask for help. To me, the hardest part has been trusting people who I shouldn't have trusted. I think Timpy worked really hard to help us. I really believe that. I truly do. I think we were let down in Texas.
The San Antonio Police Department did confirm to me they do still have an open missing persons case for Gabriel, but they refused to do an interview or give me any more details about the case. Logan and his family were stuck in the middle of a case that seemed to be going nowhere. No one had come forward with Gabriel alive, but no body had been found either. Logan struggled with what he believed Elizabeth did.
It's been hard, if she does go into one of her rages, she won't calm down unless she's ready to calm down. And anything that's around her, anything and everything, she just gets mad at, hits or throws, whatever.
He made a plea to Elizabeth.
I would just ask her to just tell the truth. Just tell me or anybody just what happened, where Gabriel is, anything that, can help us to find him.
Texas authorities searched a landfill for Gabriel's body, but nothing came of that. No tips of interest came in for a while. That is until April of 2012, when Sandy's daughter-in-law stumbled into a woman she didn't know in San Antonio.
Without implicating anybody here, what happened that gave you guys somewhat of a new lead and some hope?
My now daughter-in-law, she wasn't a part of the family at the time, but my now daughter-in-law lived in San Antonio when all of this happened. She got in a conversation with a woman who started talking about the baby who had gone missing. My daughter-in-law was smart enough to flip the recorder on her phone at the time.
Here's a snippet of that recording.
The day after she sold them to the people we know, we ran into the people, and they said, yeah, this is Gabriel.
They proceeded to have a 20-minute long conversation that this woman says she saw Gabriel after he went missing, that she knew the couple who Gabriel was with at that point. She knew their first names. The first name of the boy was Steve, and the girl was Shalinda. She said she didn't know last names. She knew where they worked. They were in San Antonio. And everybody who was on the internet, everybody who was part of, frantically started looking for Steves and Shalindas. And we actually tracked down someone who she saw the picture of, and she said that it was Steve. It was the Steve that she had known. We proceeded to search for him. We found where he was. We had investigators that helped us. We figured out where he was, turned that over to the FBI. The FBI went and talked to him, and at this point, it was several years later, Steve didn't have a little boy with him, and Steve didn't have a Shalinda girlfriend with him, or wife, or whoever she was with him, claimed he didn't know about either of those people, and the FBI couldn't prove otherwise. So that kind of ended up being a dead end.
Sandy says they took this guy Steve's picture around San Antonio to where he supposedly used to live and work, and people identified him as being someone who did used to be in San Antonio. They also told Sandy's family this Steve left the city under odd circumstances, suddenly and in the middle of the night.
I guess that would be, as the family would really, really appreciate if there's anybody out there who knows Steve and or Shalinda. We just want information. If they could just give us information that we could possibly talk to these guys, and even if they didn't really have anything to do with Gabriel getting taken from San Antonio, maybe they know something, because there was too much to the story to not want to be able to ask them some questions.
Logan McQueary's heart aches for Gabriel, but he has been able to fill his heart with love too, with his own family.
He's got 2 boys and a girl. The boys are older, very normal, live in a wonderful little town, and are part of the community, have great jobs. His wife now stays home with the kids, who are very well behaved and polite and loving, and they all know about Gabriel. They have birthday parties for Gabriel when it's his birthday every year. They say their little prayer before each meal, and before bed they always include Gabriel in their prayers. And so they're aware of it.
Logan's wife, Becca, and his sister-in-law are very involved in the search for Gabriel. He would now be 12 years old. It's emotional for Pat.
The fact that he has a new family with children, it warms my heart. And to hear that they still celebrate Gabriel's birthday every year, that's exactly what I would expect. And one of these days, if God is good, Gabriel's going to walk in on that day of his birthday, and they're going to have a party the way that it was meant to be celebrated.
As time has gone on with Gabriel's whereabouts still a mystery, something else has evolved too: social media.
There's a Bring Home Gabriel Johnson Facebook page. There was recently a TikTok video that was made by Becca's sister about Gabriel. They actually got a huge response, and there were some posts on it that they actually felt hopeful about, that they needed to be followed up on. Logan tried to contact San Antonio PD and also the FBI, and nobody has responded to him yet.
What were these comments or these posts?
There were just a couple that were hopeful enough to Logan that he felt they were credible enough that they really needed to be followed up on. There's also the hope that he's almost 12. 12-year-olds are on computers now. They see TikTok things. They see Facebook. In fact, on the TikTok video, there were several kids that wrote, he would have been older than I am. So they're out there looking. Maybe he'll look. Maybe he'll see a picture and say, well, that looks like my baby picture. Why am I involved in this? Why is my picture there?
DNA technology has also become much better and much more accessible. Pat believes that could change everything.
Do you think this case will be solved?
You know, I do. I do think this case will be solved. I don't know if I'll be around when it's solved. I hope so. But I do, because, again, secrets are very hard to keep. And if Gabriel is alive, you know, sometimes the truth finds a way. And it might be up to him, and he doesn't even know it yet. But it might be up to him to track his real family down. I mean, the way that these missing child cases have blown up in our culture, I mean, not only that, but you would think that Gabriel at some point might do 23andMe or one of these, you know, genetic testing companies.
That are growing in popularity by the day.
Absolutely, and find out by accident. In fact, that's what I'm hoping for.
Logan's family is all on board to make that possible, too.
Wouldn't that be crazy? We actually have thought about that. So Logan's working with the different, there's several of them out there now, opposed to just the Ancestry.com, but he is working, trying to get his DNA out there just in case that happens.
If he is living with a family right now, do you think he knows who he is?
No. I don't think there's any way he knows who he is.
Many have asked me throughout this investigation, well, where is Elizabeth Johnson now? She served her time in jail for the charges she was convicted of and now lives free in New Mexico. Murder charges were never brought about because no further proof of murder was ever found. She's changed her look quite a bit, portraying a sexy image of herself on Facebook.
Aside from not having Gabriel, that's the most frustrating part of all of it. I really don't wish anything ill of Elizabeth. I don't. But I also don't think that it's right nor fair for her to be going on with her life when she's the one who could answer these questions. We're the ones spending our time, our effort, our hearts, our sleepless nights, our money to hire people to follow up on leads. We're the ones doing all of those things. And she could stop it in a second. She needs to give us, in one sentence, tell us the truth. And that part of it is hard. It really is.
Internet sleuths keep tabs on her every move on social media. Just days after my sit-down interview with Sandy, who came into Arizona from out of state for the interview, she learned some shocking news. She first heard about it from somebody keeping tabs on Elizabeth's Facebook page. I checked Elizabeth's Facebook page and was able to see and verify the posts too. So I gave Sandy a call to talk about it.
One of them sent me a text a couple days ago with a picture of Elizabeth, and she's pregnant. And there's a heading on the picture saying that she's 30 weeks pregnant, so the baby's due in July.
What was your reaction when you saw that?
You know, I just kind of went weak in the knees. There's so many reasons that this is so wrong. So it was complete shock getting this news, and so disappointing.
Every person I sat down with, I wanted to ask the same question. Do they believe baby Gabriel is dead or alive? Here's attorney Tim Maloney.
Do you think there's a higher likelihood he's alive or dead?
Yeah, that's a tough question to ask me. My heart of hearts is that she was supposed to hand him off. And my gut feeling to me is I think there's a lot more sinister aspects to it. that he was handed off, that he was killed.
Reporter Pat McReynolds has a bit of a different take.
I like to think that I'm an optimistic person, so I think I keep 10% of my brain open to the fact that he's still alive. I want to be there when he's found, and I want that to be the ending to the story, but right now it's at 10%.
And Sandy, she's trusting her motherly instincts on this.
I think that Elizabeth, in her way, tried to love Gabriel and wanted to love Gabriel. She grew up in a broken family. I think she wanted him to always felt loved. I do think there was that part of her that cared that he had a good life. It just wasn't going to be with her. I can't imagine once you have a child that you could hurt it. Maybe I'm super naive about all of that. I knew Elizabeth. I knew Logan intimately. I can't see that Logan would have been with someone who could have hurt a baby. I don't know. My gut tells me he's out there somewhere.
If he is, Sandy can only hope he is safe, and that one day he'll know who he truly is, and that his dad Logan and the rest of the McQueary family are waiting to see him again.
I hope and pray he's with a good family. I hope that he's been to the beach and felt the sand in his toes. I hope he plays t-ball and Little League, and I hope he's going to school and he has friends and maybe brothers and sisters where he's at, and he feels loved. I hope he does.
If Gabriel is able to be listening to this or watching this, even if it's years down the road, obviously at this point he would be able to read and write. And what would you want him to hear from you right now?
Oh, that we have never stopped loving him or caring about him or praying for him and imagining what the reunion is going to be like when we have that reunion. And we've never stopped looking. He's always welcome. He'll always be part of us, and he's got lots of hugs waiting for him when we find him.
Both the Tempe Police Department and the FBI declined to sit down for an interview or discuss the case. Elizabeth Johnson did not respond to my message on Facebook asking for an interview and then blocked me on Facebook. But one person did respond to me who I wasn't expecting to, Tammy Smith. Not only did she respond, but she agreed to do a full phone interview with me about everything. So next week, we will release a special podcast episode of my phone call with Tammy. Stay tuned. True Crime Arizona, the podcast, is hosted by me, Brianna Whitney, and produced by Sergio Hernandez. It's a production of Arizona's Family, 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona. To watch the video version on your smart TV, download the free AZ Family streaming news app.